Bears fans, buckle up because the Chicago front office just made a flurry of moves that signal two things loud and clear. This coaching staff is serious about shoring up the secondary, and they're not afraid to make tough decisions to keep the roster competitive. Coming off a physically taxing preseason opener against the Miami Dolphins, where the backup defensive backs were stretched to their limits, the Bears wasted no time in injecting fresh blood into the depth chart. On Tuesday, Chicago signed 4 defensive backs: former Eagles cornerback Mack, former Saints safety Millard Bradford, former Patriots and Titans safety Mark Perry, and UFL standout cornerback Caleb Hayes. These additions aren't just about covering for injuries, they're also about fixing the glaring issues on special teams coverage that showed up against Miami. Head coach Ben Johnson and special teams coordinator Richard Hightower know that preseason is where depth is tested, and coverage units can't afford to give away cheap field position. Adding versatile players who can contribute on special teams while also providing defensive depth is the exact type of smart, tactical roster move you make in mid-August. Of course, to bring in 4 new faces, someone had to go. That meant parting ways with backup kicker Jonathan Kim and perhaps more notably, wide receiver John Jackson, Caleb Williams' good friend and former USC teammate. Jackson had spent last season on the Bears practice squad, and while his connection to Williams was a feel-good story, the NFL is a business, and roster spots in August are all about versatility and immediate contribution. The Bears also waived injured safety Major Burns and moved cornerback Shaun Wade to injured reserve, further highlighting how banged up the secondary has been in the early stages of camp. Let's break down the newcomers. Mack, a big-bodied corner from LSU in Louisiana, has the size and length the Bears value in outside coverage. He spent 2 years with the Eagles, mostly on the practice squad, but saw action in 4 games, including a playoff appearance against Tampa Bay. Millard Bradford, a safety who played under defensive coordinator Dennis Allen during his time in New Orleans, brings familiarity with complex coverage schemes. While he only appeared in 3 games for the Saints, his aggressive play style could make him a valuable rotational piece in Chicago's secondary. Mark Perry is an intriguing signing. A versatile safety with stints in New England and Tennessee, he hasn't broken into a regular season game yet, but his athletic profile makes him an asset in coverage and special teams. And then there's Caleb Hayes, a journeyman corner who's been with multiple NFL teams and most recently starred in the UFL with the Michigan Panthers. Known for his competitive nature and physicality at the line of scrimmage, Hayes could turn heads if he adapts quickly to the Bears' defensive system. These moves are about more than just plugging holes. They show the Bears are intent on maintaining competition across the board. Injuries to key defensive backs like Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, and Terrell Smith have tested the team's depth, but rather than riding it out with tired legs, Chicago's brass chose to act aggressively. Adding 4 defensive backs at once is a rare preseason move. It signals a willingness to overhaul a unit in one swoop if performance and health demanded. It also sends a message to the locker room: no spot is safe and opportunities are there for the taking if you can produce. The ripple effect will be interesting to watch. These new signings will immediately be thrown into practice and likely see snaps in the next preseason game. That means players who were previously running with the second or third team will need to fight even harder to hold on to their roles. On special teams, expect renewed energy and urgency. Those coverage breakdowns against Miami were unacceptable, and Johnson made it clear that fixing them is a top priority. For fans, it's worth noting that these are low-risk, potentially high-reward signings. None of these players are coming in to be day-one starters, but if even one of them carves out a consistent role, whether in sub-packages, special teams, or as an injury replacement, this week's moves could pay dividends when the regular season grind begins. Depth wins in the NFL, and the Bears are making sure they have it. So what do you think, Bears fans? Did Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson make the right call in shaking up the secondary and adding this wave of defensive backs? Are you excited to see fresh competition in camp, or do you think the injuries are starting to pile up too much for comfort? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you believe Chicago is building the roster the right way, and subscribe to Bear Down Report for every update, reaction, and deep dive as we march toward Week 1. This team isn't just preparing, they're adapting, and that's the hallmark of a contender. Bear down.